Hello everyone, how we doing? Today I thought we would touch base a little bit more onto the techniques out of the sword and hammer. And what I wanted to state that is all the forms within the Te system, they're all uniquely different and they all teach you a different expression of the art. So there is no one kata, one form that is higher than the other or better than the other and so forth. They all teach you a different way of blocking and striking and techniques that you're supposed to pull out to make them work for you. So today, I thought we would touch base on a few motions out of the sword and hammer. And one of my favorite motions out of it is the simple block and strike, the block and strike pattern of this. Now, if you notice with this lead hand, if we were to just use the one hand, this could be a block and a cutting across the eyes. So if we were here and the punch was coming in, we could block and cut across the eyes. That motion here comes from the half of the windmill to where you're coming up. So you have a circle, and then you cut. So if I was to just come in on an angle, it would be if the punch is coming in and I'm cutting across his eyes. And then from there we have other multiple combinations, not just from the form, but from what you could use based on your spontaneous response or spontaneous reaction of a person attacking you. The reason why these motions are in the form is for you to repeat them and eventually take those motions and make them work for you. So now, we're doing this hand here, we're doing the left hand. Now the right hand, if we were to come in singular, is another cut. This cut is cutting across the neck, or it could be cutting across the eyes too. This hand could also be striking to the throat. It could be a cut and strike, it could be a cut and poke, it could be a cut and backhand. Many techniques from this one hand. The third thing that's most important is your base, or I should say your primary. Your first should be your base, so you're secure with your footwork upon your entry. Now, depending on how the person is throwing the punch at you, or if it's a sudden attack on the street, a lot of times the words I use is stance of no stance, which means you don't have time to, well, let me get in a 45, let me get in a side horse. You just go. So with this technique here, you could come in with a short foot, medium foot, or a long foot, depending on how the person is attacking you. So if we were to do it in combination out of the form, it's this motion where it's a block and cut, and then from here it's a half circle. Now if we were to take that half circle, once again it's out of the windmill, this type of a motion. So if you notice, if we were to just block the motion, move his arm out of the way, come across, slapping him across the side of the face, we could take him down. So it would just be one motion, right? So as I'd be stepping in with that behind the back of his leg, slapping him and taking him over. So that's a one continuous circle motion out of this motion in the form, and then you're coming up. When you're doing this motion here, once again, this could be a strike across the side of the eye. This could be a hook where you're hooking into the eye. This could be a slap across the face. This could be a slap and then push, striking to the face. So this motion here, see, as you're coming in, is the strike. Now if we combine them, if we combine the two motions, we're collapsing, we're bringing our chest in, and we're breathing out as we block and strike. See, it's one motion from in here. You're talking, see, this is coming in. Now, when this arm comes down after you block and strike, his arm might be here, so you're moving his arm out of the way to come up with this technique. See, where you're coming up. Now, this motion here is done as a whipping motion. So instead of using a backhand like this to the face, what we're doing is we're doing this type of a motion. It just so happens we're doing it up and down in a form, which is fine, which is almost like a bouncing ricochet motion, to where once you feel you come up with this technique underneath the chin. From underneath the chin, you could go to the side, you could go to the side, you could come up to the bridge of the nose coming across. And once again, as I'm saying, this is like a whipping technique to where you're circling and coming in with this type of a strike. See? See? It's this type, it's a whip. But in the form, we're coming up like this, see? We're coming up with this type of a motion. You're blocking and hitting and then coming up underneath. Now, that motion there can be accompanied by, if we want to block, strike, come up with both hands up underneath. After you come up with both hands underneath, this could be a chop to the neck and then a push. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Crossed up side kick in, or back kick to the crotch, depending on where you're at, if he's up against the wall. So out of these basic 3 motions within the art, you could see that there's many different combinations of what you can throw by just taking a few pieces out of the kata and making them work for you. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed what I just showed you. There's so much more just to these 3 pieces, and we'll get back into it later on. I hope you're having a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.